Welcome back to a new episode of NH Unscripted. You know the routine. Your job is to sit back on your waterbed, light that incense, fire up the lava lamp. I got my Nehru jacket on. We are coming in hot again today. Break out those transistor radios. Turn them over to 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Kankid, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester, and our URL is nhtalkradio.com. I'll give you some more info about that and what's all happening out there in just a little while. I need to thank my sponsor. We are so grateful here at NH Unscripted for the law offices of Shaheen and Gordon for sponsoring this wonderful, what should be award-winning show. We'll see down the road. Who knows? But, you know, I was out there looking at the other day at their website again. There's things you don't even think about that you might need a good attorney for, right? Like dog bites. How about you get hurt on the job? Maybe you need a will. My mom and dad died not long ago. Left a will, thankfully. But you never know. Nursing home injuries, nursing home abuse, things you really don't want to think about. Maybe DUI, you hate to go there. Maybe I know friends who might have needed a lawyer at one time for that. Just saying, maybe. But we are so grateful to them. Their website is ShaheenGordon.com, ShaheenGordon.com. Their phone number is 603-614-5560, because everyone should know a good lawyer, and you're on this terra firma long enough. You or someone you know is going to need a good attorney. So write that information down. Stick it with your legal papers or on your refrigerator. ShaheenGordon.com, 603-614-5560. Okay. We got all the crazy stuff out of the way. Now we're going to get knee deep. I have been trying to get this gentleman in for a while. Shame on me for last month's faux pas, but good morning, Ethan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
This is Ethan Paulini, Artistic Director up there at the Weather Vane Theater. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
You are way up there.
Yeah, way up in Whitefield, New Hampshire. We,
Way up is right.
Yeah. We love it up there. You know, it's a good place to spend the summer and the fall.
I hit Bethlehem one time and thought I reached the end of the earth. I couldn't believe there was anything after that. I've been driving for so long, and I'm like, what? I turned around. I'm like, what? There can't be anything past here. What could possibly be past here?
Keeps going and going. Well, not much. I will say we're worth the trip up, but then once you hit us, you're good. You can sort of stick around.
Not far enough. You need a passport yet. Is that right?
Not quite. You got about an hour to go for that. Yeah.
Ethan, let's start with you yourself before we get into what's actually happening up the weather. I've never been there. That's bad on me. But again, so far, I don't even think about it.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about your background and how you ended up eventually up here at the Weather Vane. How long you been there?
Yep. This is actually fittingly my 10th season.
What?
Yeah. And actually, my first season was 2012, so it wasn't consecutive. It's been consecutive since 2018, but my first year I was just hired as an actor. I grew up in Massachusetts and went to school in Boston. Moved to New York, and like every actor, you kind of pound the pavement, pay your dues.
Yeah,
and I went to an audition for a theater that I had heard of, the Weather Vane Theater. Growing up, even just in New England, I had heard of it, and went up, sort of did my time in 2012 as an actor, and then pursued a few other things, and 5 years later, they invited me back as an actor and to be a director of our intern program, which is really a special thing that we do. And then in 2018, the position of artistic director kind of came to me, and we've been there ever since.
Timing 2018.
All in the timing, But yeah, so this is 8th season as artistic director, but 10th season overall since 2012.
Wow. When you went to New York, you grew up in Massachusetts?
Yep.
Went to school in Boston?
Yep.
Did you study acting at that time? You did?
I did, yeah.
Where did you attend?
I went to Emerson.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What would you, as a personal note here, what What would you say you specialize in theater? In acting, maybe? Would you? Because I'm going to ask some questions about some stuff coming up, which is really cool, but...
I think that especially our audiences have come to know me as kind of a comedy guy. We're doing, last year we did Clue, which was really kind of an over-the-top show. This year we're doing a show that's even crazier than Clue called One Man, Two Governors.
Yeah.
That actually is sort of notable because it's what made James Corden a star here in America. He had been a star over in the UK, and then they brought that show over to Broadway. He won a Tony Award, and now he's, hosting late night shows and movie star.
I should be so lucky.
Yeah, right. So that particular show that, I'll be doing that role. So that's kind of what they expect, kind of the, funny guy, the, sometimes a little loud, a little brash. But yeah, I think that's what our audiences have come to expect from us.
Are you personally involved in the selection of your shows, or do you have like a committee that...
It's all me.
It is.
It is all me with a lot of input from our staff. So I have an associate artistic director who offers ideas. I say, here's the sort of slate of shows I'm thinking, and he might pop in and say, okay, well, that's good, but what if we thought about this one instead? And then, of course, I run it by... We have a really great resident staff of folks who come back year after year.
Yep.
So I'll run it by them and say, hey, what's exciting to you? Or this is an actor that I think would be really great in a role. They might not know the show, but I'll say, hey, look at this. Is this of interest to you? And that's a lot of the ways that it goes into it. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, when that final calendar comes out, it's kind of all down to me.
Well, are you someone who selects things based on a theme, or can it just be very eclectic, whatever you throw at the wall and sticks?
I always, for our staff and for our artists, I always try and create some kind of through line. For instance, this year it's the theme is icons. So we're doing a show about Dr. Ruth, about Mae West, we're doing Alanis Morissette, we're doing Sarah Bareilles, we're doing Grease, things that people sort of can latch onto and that with easy recognition factor. So that's this year's sort of theme. But in the past, there's been themes that are a little more sort of like nebulous. Sometimes it's about like showing a lot of different geographical locations. Last year I kind of called it Around the World because a lot of our shows sort of took place. We had one show that took place in Sheffield of Northern England and one show that took place in Buffalo, New York. And so it's about, whatever kind of way you can connect it to give the audience something to latch onto, but then even sometimes more importantly, give the actors and artists something to latch onto.
Yeah, that's really cool. Before we get too deep, can you give us a URL where folks can go and kind of maybe while we're chatting, they can look things up and see what's happening?
Yeah, weathervanenh.org. So that's NH as in New Hampshire.
Pretty simple.
We try and keep it simple.
So I went out to your website. I'm looking at the season, and I thought, these people have a rest? It's insane. It's when you scroll through, you're like, do they never stop? This from like July through what, November?
Yeah. Yeah, our season opens June 25th this year. We run till October 12th.
It's loaded.
It's loaded. We keep busy is an understatement. Yeah, it's a wild time, but we prep all year for it, and when it comes crunch time, we're ready to dive in. So
what some folks don't know is so in some theaters, you do a play and it stops, you close, you go dark, and then they fire up the next one. You have some things that overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're the last theater in the country that does the last equity theater, which means we're governed by an actors union. That does alternating rep. It used to be a very common thing in America, and this is something we've held on to both out of tradition and out of necessity. And so, it's great for our audiences because on Monday night you could see Waitress, Tuesday night you could see Grease, Wednesday night you could see, The Tempest. Like, it's really gives a lot of variety. And keeps us on our toes.
Just the actors have to. It's such a workload, right? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about casting a little bit before we get into the shows themselves. How much time do you spend on trying to find the right people to fit?
Yeah, so that's the biggest part of the job, if you ask me. We start our casting process in November. So a season ends in October, and we get right into it. We know what we're doing.
Wait, so you already have next year's shows
Oh yeah,
You do.
yes. We have. I have a pretty good handle on kind of the next 2.5 years or so.
Okay.
You kind of have to.
I want to.
Yep.
Oh, man. You are listening to NH Unscripted. We are your American Pie. That makes me your Don McLean-like host, Ray Dudley. Coming to you from the Car 54-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Yeah, all Concord. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. We are talking with Ethan Paulini from the Weathervane Theater way up north, baby. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. Yeah, baby, gimme good lovin'. I'm your crazy elephant-like host, Ray Dudley, coming to you from the YMCA-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. You can smell the pool chlorine from here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Ethan Paulini from the Weathervane Theater is in the house. Could you give out your URL one more time, please?
weathervanenh.org.
Rolls off the tongue. Ethan, you said that before we cut there for a break that you have like maybe 2 years worth of shows already in your head.
Yeah. Theater, it takes a longer runway than people think to sort of put all the pieces together. And, we have a reputation as of late of sort of working with some pretty high-profile folks in the industry, and their calendars fill up really fast. So you got to kind of lock them down. Sometimes we're developing new shows that they've written. We're premiering something that maybe they've done in New York or done in London, and we want to be the first people to do it outside of those places. So you gotta say, okay, we'll commit to doing this in June of 2027, which feels wild, but all of a sudden you blink and it's
quick.
there.
Yeah, no kidding. Before we get into your current season, I'm going to talk a little bit about your actors. You said it takes a long time, and are many of them returning, or do you try to get fresh faces for the audience?
So we have usually about a half a dozen folks who return. They're sort of our resident company, sort of core group, and our audiences have come to really. Sort of take a lot of pride in them and really enjoy having them there. And then the rest of the season, because we do a lot of different size shows, from one-person shows all the way up to 30-person musicals, you've got to have a resident company with a lot of versatility. And so once you get sort of your core six and you plug them into the slots that they're going to fit into in the shows, then you got to go out and look for the other. Usually we hire, I would say, 20 to 30 additional people over the course of a season.
Do they have any idea where they're going? I mean, when they say yes to you, are you like, okay, so we're near Canada.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the, luckily a lot of them have agents who handle those conversations for them. So by the time they get to us, hopefully they've been well briefed. But it's there's a lot of nuance that goes into the conversations for sure.
No kidding. I saw on Instagram this morning, let's just get into your season here, but you're playing Robert Shaw in the opening well, not the opening. Atlanta Morris is the...
Well, yeah, the opening show of our rep. So it's the alternating rep. The Atlanta show sort of is by itself for a week. But
okay.
Yeah, so you're right. The opening show.
So let's talk about that. Do you feel any pressure? Does anybody feel any pressure? You have somebody playing Roy Schneider and Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Do any of you feel any pressure knowing that these people had these iconic parts and people know exactly who they are?
Yeah. I don't know if we have pressure. We've got a great director who's sort of guiding us through that. And the play is them it's a behind the scenes look at the making of Jaws. It's very funny. It's the three of them sort of like stuck on a boat while they're waiting for the crew to fix the shark. So, you get to play. It's funny for me because I have to play Robert Shaw, who is British, and in the show, I have monologues from Jaws where he's Quint, who's got to have that New England accent to him. It's fun.
You talk about
fun.
Iconic, boy. You stepped into this.
There you go. Yeah.
Were you looking forward to it? Was this something you're like, I cannot wait to just bite into this?
Yeah, this is a show that has it started in London, and it was written by Robert Shaw's son.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, and he found his father's journals about the making of Jaws and decided to write a show.
What?
And it was a big hit in London, and then they transferred it to Broadway. And I had a meeting with the original producers because we're trying to develop a partnership with them. They're based in London. They want to come to our theater to start to develop new works, which is really exciting for us. And they said, "Hey, we have this property. It just closed on Broadway. The shark is broken. What do you think about it?" And I said, "Well, I saw it on Broadway, so yeah, let's do it." And it's just, it is funny, and people are gonna. It's just right. It's perfect for our audiences.
Yeah.
It opens on the 3rd of July, Jaws is set on the 4th of July. It's the perfect way to like sort of get into summer and get people.
Makes me nervous just thinking about it.
Yeah. We're like deep into rehearsals with that one. And since it's just the three of us, we talk about that sort of stuff all the time, and especially now that we know who those people have become and who they became as movie stars, it's really,
who knew back then, right?
Oh, yeah, especially Richard Dreyfuss.
No kidding.
Yeah. And the play that's what's so interesting is, he's sort of the young, inexperienced guy who like Robert Shaw is really tough on.
Yeah.
And so that dynamic is the sort of seasoned veteran actor and this like young Hollywood sort of, sort of a hot shot. And it's really, I know people are going to love it. It's like one of those shows.
Do they retain in this production, which was called The Shark is Broken?
Yeah.
Do they retain a lot of the iconic lines?
Well, yeah. So, for example, the Indianapolis speech that is like Robert Shaw's sort of calling card is the end of the show. It's the big finale. There's different scenes where, because Robert Shaw was a big fan of the bottle, and so there are scenes where that they show them he can't get through the speech. He's too inebriated, and he's like slurring his words, and they're yelling "cut," and all these terrible things are happening, and then finally at the end of the show it's supposed to be a replica of the film. So that I will say I feel a little pressure.
Come on.
That I got to do my study. I got to do my study. So.
Are you guys already in rehearsal for it? Have you started?
Yeah, we started. We did some rehearsals in New York earlier in the month, and then we've been doing virtual rehearsals because our director is actually the associate director of the revival of Sunset Boulevard on Broadway that just won all the Tonys.
Woo!
So they arrived tonight.
Wow.
And so we'll get back into the rehearsal studio sort of a little bit more properly tomorrow.
Dang, man, I bet you can't wait. I bet you can't wait.
Yeah.
Are there shows that are coming up that you're really looking for that you think people are going to just really latch on to?
One of the challenges for me is always like programming things that people know and that are familiar and that they're going to love, like Grease. People can't wait for Grease, right?
No kidding.
But then it's about what always happens every year is I say, when I start announcing titles, I say, okay, so we're going to do Grease and we're going to do The Producers, and everybody gets excited about those shows they know. And then I always pick a show and say, and this is your new favorite show that you just don't know yet. And lo and behold, every year, the same people, the same subscribers, same patrons who say, oh, Grease is my favorite. I can't wait for Grease. But I don't know what this other show is. At the end of the season, they always are, Grease was really good, but this other show was my favorite.
And what will that be this year? What are you thinking that's going to be?
I think it'll be different for everyone, but right. Knowing our audiences, I think One Man, Two Governors is going to be huge.
Yeah?
Huge. It's incredibly funny. It's wild. And our audiences like farce, and they like slamming doors and people getting slapped around and all kinds of crazy hijinks. And I think that's going to be one that sneaks up and surprises people. We've got a Sarah Bareilles musical called Waitress that was very popular on Broadway, but because it's so new, a lot of our audiences don't know it yet. And I think they're going to go crazy for that as well.
What is your demographic up there?
It's changing. We've got our folks. Because we've been there for 60 years. We have folks who have been coming there for 50 to 60 years. Some of them. It's kind of great. Generationally, to know some of the folks who are who started coming as kids with their parents and are still, bringing their grandkids now. But we've seen the demographic change a lot, which is actually part of the reason why I programmed Jagged Little Pill at the beginning of the season.
Oh, interesting.
A couple of years ago, we did Green Day's American Idiot, and everyone was really excited about it from our staff, and even our board was excited. And but people were like, but do you think people will come to a show like this? Because in that same season was Hello Dolly. People are going to come to that.
Yeah.
And
two ends of the spectrum
and
here.
it ended up that we got a great... it was one of the biggest hits of that season.
Really?
And it brought in a ton of new, younger folks like,
Perfect.
50 and under, which is what we're always kind of hoping for, because they'll turn into the people who come for 30, 40 years. And I can track people now who are closer to my age who are coming because they first went, oh, they're doing American Idiot? I'll go see that. And now they come see everything. So
Man, oh man. Wow, so much to talk about. I can't believe we're halfway through. This is crazy already. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, smile a little smile for me. I am your flying machine-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. My God, it's cavernous in here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. We're talking the Weather Vane Theater way up in Whitefield, but a beautiful trip nonetheless. Plan on it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. We are your spirit in the sky. That makes me your Norman Greenbaum-like host, Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from deep within the bunkers of the WKXL studios in Concord. Way underground. Yeah, baby. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. We love talking theater. Ethan Paulini from the Weather Vane Theater, the artistic director up there, is in the house, and we're chatting all things theater. You said this is your 60th year, the Weather Vane?
60th season, started in 1966 by two gentlemen, Gibbs Murray and the late Tom Haas, and Gibbs is still around. He's still designing sets for us.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Oh, my God.
Yep, he'll design Honky Tonk Angels for us this year.
I thought you were going to say, they're passed on, we've dedicated this wing or whatever.
No, Gibbs is still kicking around up there with us.
Dang, man. Dang.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the season. Let's kind of list off some of the stuff here.
Yep.
Let's scroll through, and you can talk a little bit as we go through.
Sure, sounds good. We're opening next Wednesday, the 25th, with Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. This was a big hit on Broadway just a few years ago, and we're actually the U.S. regional premiere. No theater's done it before.
What?
Yep.
Seriously?
Yep. It originated at the ART in Cambridge, moved to Broadway, did its national tour, and now we've been given the rights to do it first regionally. So
Son of a gun,
that's
congratulations.
It's going to be pretty good. We got a great cast for that. And then, of course, we've got The Shark is Broken, which we talked about. It's going to be a wild ride. We've got a great comedy called Becoming Dr. Ruth, which is funny because I programmed this right just a few days before she passed away. So it becomes even more timely to kind of re-examine. It's a fascinating story because it talks about, of course, I remember being a kid and hearing like Dr. Ruth on The Tonight Show and thinking, blushing a little bit. So it's a great, really funny show. And she has a really fascinating sort of life story. And that's what...
Is it a single person show? Mm-hmm. One person?
Yep. And that's that opens on July 6th. And then, of course... sort of the centerpiece of the season.
Talking about iconic.
We got Grease Grease is the word, as they say.
Yeah.
That's what they tell me.
People love that show.
Oh, they love it. It's
like Mamma Mia. People drive by and throw money at you.
Absolutely, you're exactly right. I mean, I'll tell you, if that's one you're planning to see, you got to get your tickets now because a lot of the shows are already pretty much at capacity. And
Isn't that fascinating?
I'll probably have to add some shows, to be honest, to meet the demand of that one. So
that won't break your heart, I'm sure.
No, I'm never mad at that.
Yeah,
and that's always a good problem to have. And then, of course, we've got Waitress, which is by Sarah Bareilles, very popular, ran on Broadway for 1,500 performances, a very new title that I'm excited to finally get the opportunity to present. And then, of course, I mentioned One Man, Two Governors, which is, it's sort of cheeky British humor. It's a little over the top. Actually, it's a lot over the top. How about that?
For a British humor?
Yeah. The fun thing about One Man, Two Governors, too, is that it's a play. It's a traditional play, except that they're in between the scenes. There's a like a Fab Four Beatles like British skiffle band that plays these like great songs that were written specific. It's awesome. Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Dang,
so,
man.
And then we got Honky Tonk Angels. I mean, we do every year we try and do something like Always Patsy Cline or The Marvelous Wonderettes that's like we've got great performers. I mean, I just can't say enough. But when you do a show with great performers, and then it's this is songs from Reba and Dolly and Tammy Wynette and Loretta Lynn, and our audience is just like that's the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
And so you get those great songs, you get a little comedy, and you get some great female vocalists, and those tend to be some of the bigger hits.
I recognize a lot of the songs right there. My goodness, they're all from my era.
Yeah.
Just leave it there.
And then following sort of the theme of icons, we're doing a play called Dirty Blonde. This was a big hit on Broadway in around 2000, so it's about 25 years old. It's about Mae West.
Okay,
So again,
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's 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 a little risque because Mae West was a little risque, but of course, like she was risque by 1930 standards. So bringing them into the 21st century, it's like it cools it off, but still makes it a lot of fun. There's a lot of music in that. We've got
it's a musical.
It's a play with music because Mae does a lot of her sort of iconic numbers, and our returning this year to play Mae West is a really incredible performer, Becca Ayers, who was with us last season and has done, on Broadway, has done South Pacific and The Addams Family and 1776 and, just a laundry list of Broadway shows that she's been in. And so we're psyched to have her back to play Mae West. I mean, she's sort of an icon in her own way. So.
Good grief.
Yeah. And then of course we got The Tempest.
Wow.
Shakespeare's Tempest. This is actually my favorite Shakespeare play, and we've just started adding Shakespeare to our main stage, and it's been incredibly well received because I think people, they have that like, oh, I'm going to go see ruffled collars and people are going to be speaking in a certain way, and we did like a very kind of rock and roll Romeo and Juliet last year.
Really?
And The Tempest is such a cool show because it's like about magic and mystery, and so it's.
Are you contemporizing it as well?
Yep, and the adaptation is only 5 actors, so it's 5 actors playing lots of different roles, and I'm always excited at the end of the season when people tell me that they didn't expect to like the Shakespeare.
So this could be one of those.
That'll be one of those. For sure.
Got you.
And then our big grand finale for our 60th season, we're bringing back. They did it before my time. They did Mel Brooks, the producers. That's the record holder for the most Tony Awards ever in history. It's even more than Hamilton. And actually, my associate artistic director, Robert H. Fowler, was in the original production of The Producers on Broadway for the entire run.
What?
Yeah, he did. He played.
What is happening? Oh, how do people?
I know you got to get up there.
This crazy gem.
You got to get up there. So yeah, he was in it. He did all 2,400 performances on Broadway.
What?
and now and he's been with the theater. This is his 11th season with us, and the Producers was done before his time. So we thought, you know what, let's bring it back, and you get to be in a show that you know and love well. So it's exciting for our audiences to get to see something like that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So when you're bringing in people like that, do you give the audience time to meet them? I mean, a lot of times they don't, right?
Yeah.
But they come to see them. But
yeah, we try and, we have all kinds of. It's a small town, so people see them. I mean, the shift
point.
when people show up and all of a sudden they're walking into the post office and see this person and go, "You must be from the Weather Vane." I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time. But we do events. We do all kinds of open houses and special events.
Oh, that's really
people
nice.
can come in, and we do opening night receptions that if people come to opening night, they can join the reception, and we do a champagne toast, and they can mix and mingle with the cast. And we try and make it pretty accessible, because the community has to feel invested if they're going to continue to support it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the theater itself. I don't know anything about it. How many people does it seat, and what's the ambiance?
Yep, our capacity is 266. That's 250 seats and 16 standing room. It's air conditioned, heating, which we just added because it's sort of in that tradition of the old New England barn theaters. But it's the theater itself is relatively new. It was built in 2012.
Okay.
So they designed it to replicate the original barn, but the original barn sadly burned down in 2011. Ooh. So they did. They rebuilt it, but sort of paying homage to that. So in a lot of ways, it's the best of both worlds, because it still has that historic look and feel to it. Yeah. But then you walk in and it's got all the sort of modern creature comforts that people want. The seating is super comfortable. There really is not a bad seat in the house. I mean, I sit in the last row. That tends to be where those of us who, who sort of sit there a little nervous, but
is the seating raked?
The seating is raked. It's just a super comfortable and super welcoming space.
So was the theater? It's just now we're getting into the weeds for actors and stuff. But was the theater designed with the actors in mind? Are their dressing rooms, green rooms, and all that?
Oh yeah.
So they're not like outside. They got to get a bus.
No, they used to be. There's a big rock on our front lawn that when people come who were there in the old barn, as they affectionately call it, they'll be like, "That rock was in our dressing room." It's a big boulder. It's like 6 feet like wide, and they'll always say that. But no, now we have redesigned it so that the actors are a little more comfortable and have a little bit more space.
Well, that's very
feels a little bit more civilized, even though we're way up there in the mountains.
Not sharing their dressing room with a granite block. All right, hang on. Oh, this has been so much fun. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, baby, we're your Hot Rod Lincoln. I'm your Commander Cody Like, host Ray Dudley, coming to you from the Green Acres Like Digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. Ethan Paulini's in the house, and we're having a hoot of a time talking theater up in Whitefield. We will be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. Timothy, where on earth did you go? All right, that's a blast from the past. Good luck figuring that one out. I am your Boys Like host, Ray Dudley. That's another clue. We are coming to you from the Dating Game Like Digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. Yeah, I might be in chair number 3. Maybe. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Sony Walkmans. Whatever the plural of that is. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NH Talk Radio is our URL where you can go out there. There's a button you can click. Listen to this show live every Wednesday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. But there's a heck of a lot more going on here at the studio. So if you want to listen to stuff live, go out there, stream it, nhtalkradio.com. And there's a lot of archive stuff. Yeah, a lot of great stuff happening here. Go on out. You wake up 2 or 3 in the morning having milk and cookies. Fire it up. Go find an archive. Ethan Paulini's in the house, and we are having one heck of a time talking about what's happening way up in Whitefield. I had no idea. I mean, just crazy what's going on up there. You have a lot of these other special events happening.
Yep.
Why don't we plug away on some of those as well?
Yeah, we got opening just tomorrow. We've got our 4th annual free sort of Shakespeare in the Park event. It's one of my favorite things we do, actually. It's like a 30-minute show that's free to the community. It features both our professional actors, members of our intern company, as well as local youth actors.
Yeah?
And we get them up and you know, it is a blast watching like 12-year-olds do Taming of the Shrew and all that stuff. And there's music in it, and folks bring picnics and they bring their dogs, and it's just a great way to kick off the summer.
So New Englandy.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. So that starts tomorrow, and it's totally free, which we love being able to offer that to the community.
It's a great introduction to the theater too.
Absolutely,
people,
yeah. It gets people excited. They go, they have a good time, and then they go, "What's happening indoors?"
Yeah,
we've got some like special themed movie nights. They prevent us. The studios prevent us from advertising the titles, but if you go
seriously,
yeah,
it's a copyright thing, or
yeah,
what? You really?
Because we're not a movie. We're not like a movie distributor.
For goodness sake!
But if you go on the website, you can figure it out pretty quick what movies we're showing.
Didn't.
Yeah. And then we've got. I mentioned the One Man Two Governors. One of the fun things about that show is it. In between the scenes, there's a sort of Beatles-inspired Fab Four band that plays these like really great sort of 1960s British invasion pop songs. And so we're going to do a preview concert. Ira Kramer, who's been with our company for many years, is a great musician. He played Elvis when we did $1 Million Quartet, and he's the band leader for that show.
Are these songs that were written for the show, or these songs that we would have known from?
They're written for the show, but you're going to hear them and go, this sounds exactly like all those sort of British standards.
Yes.
And then we've got a great show. The star of our production of Waitress is an actor, Sarah Ann Fernandez. She played Elphaba in Wicked. On the national tour. So she's coming up, and she wrote a show called Don't Forget Me that has like music from lots of iconic female characters in musical theater.
She wrote it?
She wrote it. So you'll hear
what is happening up there?
Right? We put together an impressive group.
No kidding.
Yep. And then of course on September 7th, we're very excited. We have our gala, our Diamond Jubilee, to celebrate our 60th anniversary. That's at the Mountain View Grand, which is a beautiful resort just down the road.
So what's that all about? What's going to take place there?
It's going to be great. There's going to be food, there's going to be drinks, and there's going to be, most importantly, our esteemed alumni are going to come back and perform and just sort of share memories of 60 years.
Yeah,
so you're going to get folks that are really of recent memory, and then you're going to get folks who
60 years of people coming back. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be really special. So
talk about colorful. Wow.
Yeah, the board is working hard on that one. It's going to be an unbelievable night, and there's going to be, in addition to cocktails and food and all that fun stuff, there'll be silent auction experiences and all those things to sort of help raise money to keep us moving forward.
Okay, wow, that's impressive.
Yep. And then we've got our North Country New Work series in September as well. That's where we present sort of in process. This year we're doing a musical of Dorian Gray and a new play by actually our tech director. She wrote a play called Glock 17.
Everyone up there is writing plays? What's going on?
Yeah. And so we'll be presenting those, and those are fun because they're sort of plays in process, so they're readings, and then what is great for the people who wrote it is the audience provides feedback. They say, "I loved this."
That's perfect.
And we've produced a couple of shows from that. We did a really funny comedy called Primary about the New Hampshire primary a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
That came out of that series. So, yeah.
The feedback is so important for authors.
Oh, yeah.
They really do need that. See what lands, see what doesn't work.
Absolutely.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll be announcing our holiday programming before you know it. It'll be time for Christmas. So.
God, so what do you guys do up there for Christmas time? You don't go dark, huh?
We do for a bit. We close in the middle of October, and then we actually we perform in residence at the Mountain View Grand, and they have a space called the Presidential Hall that seats about 300 people.
Woo!
And we set up a stage, and last year we did a musical review. We did the second year of this comedy that sells out called Whose Holiday. And we did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So we offer, it's just a week, and it's the 3 shows that run in rep for just that week, but it gets sort of people in the holiday spirit.
And then you go dark?
Then we go dark, and we're back in New York putting together the cast and putting together the creative teams, and we sit through literally probably about 4,000 auditions to get to the 20.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously.
We travel for our intern program. We travel to schools. We go to Baldwin Wallace. We go to Boston Conservatory, Emerson. It's a long process. So.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Can you give the URL again where people can get tickets and find out more information?
Absolutely. weathervanenh.org.
Which show do you think will be the most difficult to put up? You've got a lot going on here, but
I think there's
one that might give you a little headache, or are they all just pretty much?
No, there'll be fun challenges, but I think the Tempest is going to be a spectacle. There's going to be, since it's about a lot of magic and it's set during a storm at sea.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of tech elements, projections, lights, sound effects, fog and haze, and so to create that spectacle, I think it will be a particular challenge for our designers. But otherwise, I think and the producers is huge.
Of course.
It's a huge musical. So
there are some incredible numbers in that.
Yeah. Yes.
That is
yeah.
That is a show to go. Oh my God, that is such a funny show.
Yeah.
You have, is there a different director for every single one of your shows?
No, we have, I direct several of them.
Okay.
So I'll direct, I think I direct 4 this year.
Oh, okay.
And we have, we've got really exciting directors too. Like they come up here for just a couple of weeks, and they, like I mentioned, Benita, who's directing Shark, is the associate
Huge
director at Sunset Boulevard.
God, looking at that.
And they're quite literally like, oh, I'm taking a couple of weeks away from, because it's still running on Broadway. So they have to sort of put all that in place. And we've got Bob Hupp coming back, who's the producing artistic director at Syracuse Stage, which is a major regional theater in Syracuse, New York. And, David Grinrod, who's an accomplished director all over the country, is doing the producers. And we've got Ashley McManus, also very accomplished, doing Jagged Little Pill with us. So it's a big team.
I can imagine.
Theater's the ultimate team sport, and you take one position away, and the whole game falls apart. So.
You have resident places for all these people to stay at?
We own the Spalding Inn. Which
you do?
It's an old bed.
That
and
works
breakfast.
out well then.
Yeah, it's got its own challenges of running.
I
never signed up to be an innkeeper, but sometimes that becomes part of the job. But yeah, it's got 28 rooms in the main house, and then a 12-room carriage house, and we put everyone up in there.
Wow.
So it's a big facility.
My goodness. I was going to ask you, so when people go up, and obviously since it's a decent ride, they want to make a night out of it, right? So do you have places, suggestions for them to?
Yes. We have right on our property, we have the Inn at Whitefield. We share the parking lot. Joanne, who is the owner and chef of that fantastic restaurant, is one of our great friends. And what's fun about it is you walk in, the food is sensational. I mean, it becomes the go-to. Everybody's in there on breaks, on dinner breaks, after shows, before shows, and she's got a really comfortable pub, and filling the walls are all the posters from 60 years. So she's got. It's like a great restaurant. It's also a wonderful museum for some of our seasons.
Ethan, I'm so glad you made the trip. I long overdue. Again, website information, please.
weathervanenh.org.
I had other questions, I really did. But, oh, man, we're done. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah. Take a letter, Maria. You know that one. Come on, I'm your RB Greaves-like host, Ray Dudley, coming to you from the Gong Show-like digs of WKXL Studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, and 101.9 FM for the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Ethan Paulini from the Weather Vane up in Whitefield. Make it a point to get out there this summer. It's New England theater. Come on, do it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.